Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have hired former CIA agents with a proven track record of lying to the public, gaslighting the public.
Are her lawyers dumb? Like, what's happening? Why do they keep making these mistakes and fumbling the ball like this? Team Blake was trying to basically ask for like 2.5 years worth of cell phone records, everything, location, all this data, which felt very evasive. They basically said, listen, it's ridiculous that you're asking for all this stuff because you're asking for 2.5 years, but you claim the retaliation started in August of this summer.
They went and met her and they said they were going to get rid of the request to the extent it said all documents related to blank, and they just wanted the phone records. And the court said no. The court said that could include therapists, doctors, friends, colleagues, business people. It's way too broad. And so what he did is he sent him back to the drawing board and said, you gotta go meet and confer again. You could serve a more narrowly tailored subpoena, but you haven't done it here.
Is this truly a win for Justin and a loss for Blake?
Absolutely a win for Justin, and you're absolutely right, Andy, in your interpretation of the document. What they said is basically, they told you you have to go meet and confer and see if you can come up with more narrow requests.
Blake Lively just lost it, again. The actress, once Hollywood's golden girl, is spiraling as fans turn on her, contracts crumble, and shocking allegations surface. A public meltdown, a desperate PR move, and a lawsuit that could change everything. This is not the Blake Lively you thought you knew.
You're despicable and a massive hypocrite. I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public? There's a lot of this sort of like Blake complaining that they're evading the privacy, they're doing all this, but then meanwhile, right, she's on Saturday Night Live with Ryan making jokes, hitting back. I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public?
And as for Justin Baldoni, he just dropped a bombshell that left Hollywood stunned.
Breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss.
Let's dive into the chaos. Justin Baldoni isn't just an actor and director. He's now the man behind one of Hollywood's most shocking legal battles. Once praised for bringing Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel, It Ends With Us, to the big screen, Baldoni is now making headlines for a completely different reason. His lawsuit against Blake Lively. And the accusations? They're nothing short of explosive. According to Baldoni, Lively overstepped her role in ways that went far beyond creative input. She allegedly tried to take complete control of the film, manipulating key production decisions, overriding directors, and forcing last-minute script changes that clashed with the original vision. Insiders claim she positioned herself as the real force behind the film, sidelining Baldoni and other major figures in the process. But here's where it gets even messier. Baldoni isn't just making vague accusations, he's backing them up with what could be career-destroying evidence.
He's right there. He's absolutely right there. They are trying to keep some evidence out of the public eye.
Reports suggest Baldoni has receipts. We're talking leaked emails, text messages, and even behind-the-scenes footage that allegedly prove Lively's power moves weren't just rumors. If these documents and clips surface, they could completely shatter the public's perception of Lively, exposing a behind-the-scenes reality that fans never saw coming. Some sources claim that in these messages, Lively actively pressured executives to change casting choices, rewrite key scenes, and even push for an entirely different marketing strategy, one that allegedly positioned her as the main creative genius behind the project. But it doesn't stop there. Baldoni isn't just seeking an apology, he's reportedly suing for an insane amount, one that could send shockwaves through Hollywood. If the case moves forward, Lively could be facing not just financial repercussions, but also severe damage to her career. The industry is already watching closely, with insiders speculating that top studios may start distancing themselves from Lively if the lawsuit gains traction. And perhaps the biggest question of all, why would Baldoni risk it all to take on such a powerful A-list actress? Some believe he simply wants justice for what he sees as manipulation and misconduct. Others think there's more to the story, something even bigger that hasn't come out yet. One thing's for sure, Hollywood thrives on drama, but this lawsuit isn't just another scandal. If the truth comes out, it could redefine Lively's career forever, and we're just getting started. With her image crumbling fast, Blake Lively pulled a move straight out of a political thriller. She brought in former CIA agent Nick Shapiro to clean up her mess. Yes, an intelligence officer, once dealing with global security threats, was now handling celebrity PR for a scandal-ridden actress. The decision was meant to make her look untouchable, like she had the best of the best on her side. But instead, it made her look desperate. Fans weren't buying it. Why would someone with nothing to hide bring in an expert in damage control at this level? Speculation ran wild. What was she so afraid of? What was she trying to cover up? The move didn't just raise eyebrows, it practically invited more scrutiny, and then came the leaks. Instead of stopping the bleeding, Lively's new PR machine seemed to make things worse. More behind-the-scenes allegations surfaced. Claims that she had thrown fits on set, manipulated the creative direction, and even threatened to walk if she didn't get her way. The stories spread like wildfire, painting her less like a victim and more like the mastermind behind the chaos. Realizing the CIA connection had backfired, her team scrambled for a new angle. That's when they played the feminist card. They tried to reframe the narrative. Blake wasn't a manipulator. She was a strong woman unfairly villainized by Hollywood's double standards. But instead of rallying support, this pivot only fueled more outrage. Critics called it a distraction tactic, a cheap play for sympathy that ignored the real accusations against her. Public sentiment continued to plummet. Fans who once adored her were now turning against her. Social media was flooded with posts accusing her of using feminism as a shield while refusing to take accountability. The backlash wasn't just loud, it was relentless. And with every new headline, it became clear. Blake Lively's PR strategy was failing spectacularly. If Blake Lively thought she could control the narrative, she clearly underestimated the power of social media. The backlash wasn't just a minor controversy, it was a full-blown digital revolt. Fans turned against her in droves, and it happened, almost overnight. What started as criticism in niche gossip circles quickly exploded into a mainstream movement, with hashtags like Cancel Blake Lively and Justice for Justin trending across platforms. Her follower count took a massive hit. Thousands, if not tens of thousands, unfollowed her on Instagram in just a matter of days. And that was just the beginning. Social media was flooded with angry comments, scathing tweets, and viral TikToks dissecting every detail of the controversy. Users compiled timelines, pulled up old interviews, and analyzed her past statements for inconsistencies. The message was clear. People were done with Blake Lively. The accusations were brutal. She was called a manipulator, a liar, a control freak. Some fans who once adored her were now vowing to boycott her future projects. Others claimed they had seen the warning signs all along, pointing to alleged past incidents of diva behavior. Every public statement she made was met with intense scrutiny, with people dissecting her words and body language for any sign of insincerity. And the worst part? This wasn't just another fleeting scandal that would blow over in a week. The outrage had momentum, fueled by relentless media coverage and damning new revelations that seemed to surface daily. The more her team tried to clean up the mess, the more it spiraled out of control. Instead of salvaging her reputation, every attempt at damage control only gave critics more ammunition. For many, this wasn't just about Blake Lively. It became a larger conversation about Hollywood privilege, unchecked power, and the consequences of behind-the-scenes manipulation. The internet had made up its mind, and for Lively, there was no escaping the storm. Then came the now infamous Hollywood Reporter cover, an illustration that didn't just report on the controversy, but made a bold statement about it. The artwork depicted the legal drama in stark detail, showing Lively not as the victim, but as the central figure in the chaos. The imagery was brutal, unmistakable, and left no room for interpretation. Lively wasn't being unfairly attacked. She was being held accountable. Instead of taking it in stride or strategically ignoring it, Lively reportedly lost it. Insiders claim she was furious, calling the cover a direct attack on her character. Within hours, she took to social media, calling out the magazine for what she deemed a sexist and biased portrayal. She accused them of twisting the narrative, of villainizing a strong woman in Hollywood, and of participating in a media smear campaign against her. But her outrage didn't land the way she hoped. Rather than rallying behind her, the public saw her reaction as yet another misstep. Many mocked her response, pointing out the irony. She had benefited from Hollywood's carefully curated image machine for years, riding the wave of positive press and glowing profiles. Now that the tide had turned, her protests felt hollow, even hypocritical. People weren't buying it. Instead, they saw someone who had no problem with media manipulation when it worked in her favor, but couldn't handle the scrutiny when the tables turned. Social media exploded with memes, sarcastic comments, and brutal takedowns. Critics called her out for deflecting instead of addressing the real issues. Some even resurfaced past interviews where she had championed accountability and responsibility, words that now seemed empty in the face of her own crisis. Instead of shutting down the conversation, her reaction only amplified it, ensuring that the controversy stayed in the headlines for weeks longer than it might have otherwise. What could have been just another news cycle turned into an extended PR nightmare. And worse, the backlash wasn't just coming from the public. Hollywood insiders were now openly whispering about how her handling of the situation was making things worse. Instead of repairing her image, she was digging herself into an even deeper hole. The drama wasn't just playing out in courtrooms and on social media. Behind the scenes, things were reportedly even worse. New reports started trickling in, painting a very different picture of Blake Lively. Not as the charming, effortless actress fans had come to love, but as someone who had allegedly seized control of the It Ends With Us, said in a way that left everyone, from directors to crew members, on edge. According to insiders, Lively wasn't just acting in the film, she was allegedly dictating major creative decisions, demanding script rewrites on the spot, and overriding the director's choices. At first, people assumed it was just an actress passionate about her role, but as production dragged on, the whispers turned into full-blown complaints. Crew members reportedly felt suffocated, with one source describing the work environment as walking on eggshells every single day. The tension didn't stop at the production team. Co-stars were allegedly frustrated too. Some claimed that Lively would insist on reshooting scenes until they matched her vision, ignoring the director's calls. Others said she was so fixated on her input that even minor details, like wardrobe choices and camera angles, became battlegrounds for control. It wasn't long before the nickname Control Freak started gaining traction, and then the label got worse. People on set reportedly started calling her a dictator. The word spread fast, and in an industry built on collaboration, that kind of reputation is toxic. Hollywood is full of powerful personalities, but when actors cross the line from involved to impossible to work with, it can be a career ender. The real problem? This wasn't just industry gossip anymore. These claims were making their way to the public, feeding the growing storm around Lively's reputation, and fans weren't impressed. Blake Lively's downfall wasn't just a personal crisis, it was becoming a family affair. And unfortunately for Ryan Reynolds, he was getting dragged into the mess whether he liked it or not. At first, Reynolds seemed to be staying out of it, keeping up his usual lighthearted social media presence, but fans weren't having it. They started questioning why he was completely silent while his wife was at the center of one of the biggest scandals in Hollywood. The backlash wasn't just aimed at Lively anymore. People started unfollowing him too. Some even accused him of enabling her behavior by not speaking up. And then came Saturday Night Live. Reynolds made a surprise appearance, likely hoping for a fun, easygoing moment. But instead of laughs, he got backlash. Viewers slammed him for pretending everything was normal while his wife's career was crumbling. Some claimed he was trying to distract from the controversy, while others saw it as proof that he was distancing himself from the situation altogether. The speculation didn't stop there. Rumors started circulating that the scandal was putting serious strain on their marriage. Hollywood insiders suggested that Reynolds was torn. Should he stand by Lively and risk getting dragged down with her? Or should he quietly start stepping away? And let's be real, Hollywood isn't kind to damaged reputations. If Lively becomes completely radioactive, Reynolds' career could take a hit just by association. Some sources believe that if things get worse, he might have no choice but to put some distance between them, for the sake of his brand, his career, and maybe even his own sanity. Could we be witnessing cracks in one of Hollywood's most beloved marriages? Time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this scandal isn't just Lively's problem anymore. With all this swirling around her, Hollywood is starting to take notice. Insiders say studios are quietly distancing themselves, and her name is being whispered in industry circles as a liability. There's even speculation that she's being quietly removed from upcoming projects. Once you become radioactive in Hollywood, it's hard to come back from that. So, can Blake Lively recover from this? Or is this the beginning of the end of her career? Blake Lively went from Hollywood's golden girl to one of its most controversial figures, fast. What started as a behind-the-scenes power struggle turned into a full-blown legal war with Justin Baldoni. The shocking lawsuit, the damning receipts, the desperate PR cleanup, it all backfired spectacularly. She hired a former CIA agent to fix her image. That only made her look more suspicious. The Hollywood Reporter exposed her with a brutal cover. She threw a tantrum and got roasted for it. Fans? They turned on her overnight, flooding social media with outrage and boycotts. Even Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's golden boy, couldn't escape the fallout. Now she's backed into a corner. Studios are distancing themselves. Hollywood insiders are whispering about how she's becoming radioactive. And Reynolds? He might have to make a choice, his wife or his career. So is this just a rough patch? Or is Blake Lively's entire career crumbling before our eyes? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because this drama is far from over.